Good morning and welcome to the new edition, the new episode of Better Thyself. You know, each one of us wants to be happy, and we forget what Shelley said. We look before and after and pine for what is not. Our sincerest laughter with some pain is fraught. And our sweetest songs are those which tell of saddest thought. Hardy said the same thing when he said, pain is universal. The exact words were, happiness is an occasional episode in the general drama of pain. And yet we pursue happiness. We pursue happiness as a thirsty traveler in a desert pursues mirage, and we never achieved it, or if we achieve it, then we find, was it worth it? As a matter of fact, we think we should be happy, like we are expected to be happy, and when we are not, that makes us miserable. Why try for something which is not there and not be happy with what we have? Are you aware that you feel unhappy not because you want to be happy? You want to be happy because of the social pressure. And social pressure to feel happy can really have a very opposite effect to what you had intended, and it contributes to a great extent to the prevalence of depression. Amazed? It's a paradox. You search for happiness and you end up with depression. This is what the psychologists say. And that's a fact. Depression rates are much higher in the countries that place a premium on happiness. What happens actually is, rather than a byproduct of a life well-being, well-lived, feeling happy is a byproduct of a life well-lived. And when you want that byproduct to be goal itself, that causes misery. Smiling faces beam at us from the social media, and the happiness gurus, to earn their money and their happiness, flog their quick emotional fixes, reinforcing the message that we should aim to be happy, maximize our positive emotions, avoid our negative emotions. In my book, Technology of Being Human, I have mentioned it's important to be negative. Until and unless you are negative, you cannot be happy. Negative habits, negative ideas breed happiness, as a matter of fact. Really, if we want to live up to the concept of happiness, it's very difficult. In a recent study on depression and anxiety, Bastien, a Belgian collaborator, and his fellow researchers found the relationship between social expectations, not to experience negative emotions, and the occurrence of depressive emotions. Now, this, as I said earlier, seems to be a paradox, but it's not so. A study was recently conducted on 112 people. How they responded to the questions assigned to measure their happiness and depressive symptoms. And this fact came into being. A persistent social pressure not to feel sad is more likely to show increase in depressive tendencies. So, we see a new insight, and that's very important for us. A man's social environment, the culture the people live in, plays a central role in the status and determination of mental illness. The traditional depression research generally focuses on the role of person-specific characteristics, meaning the researchers look at genes, biomarkers, cognitive and behavioral styles. But they ignore the external factors, and many a times external factors can be, should be the determining factors. Imagine a number of people who are depressive here in North America. I think that way back home in India, we didn't have that percentage of depression. Here it's more because of the social structure as such. The pursuit of happiness at the expense of the counterpart emotion is sometimes very damaging to the mental health. There's the casual relationship between social emotion, social expectations, and increased rumination is a symptom of a person in distress. You see, they asked these 120 participants, which I talked about, they went into 3 stages. First was solving 35 anagrams in 3 minutes. And most of the participants didn't know half the anagrams, had no solvable answer, and they were obliged to perform poorly and experience failure. They entered a small room, decorated with motivational posters, and looked like an upbeat host asked them to complete the task. The second group was in a neutral room with the same task. And the third was conditioned for happiness paraphernalia. And do you know, the people in the neutral room performed the best. They had no motivational posters to prod them, no happiness formulas to distract them. They were all by themselves. Then they interchanged the participants, thinking that they might belong to a different social structure, and the same thing happened. So, much of the motivational talk can be harmful. And that's why I say, be yourself. In my book, Technology of Being Human, my stress is on being authentic. And that's what I had discussed in one of my earlier episodes as well. The overemphasizing happiness, the importance of seeking positive emotion and avoiding negative emotion, has the implication that the people respond to the negative emotion experience. We think we should be happy like we are expected to be. And we are not. That makes us miserable. Sometimes I tune in the local radio shows while I'm driving. And I'm shocked. One lady, time out of number, it becomes nauseating, says we should have positivity. She forgets that positive emotions and positivity are 2 different things. But even if she was saying we should have positive emotions, that would be nauseating. You do not keep on telling that. Not to others, not to yourself. Have you ever observed that the people in the East, especially people in Buddhism, Hinduism, Sikhism, those people are not as unhappy as the people in the Western countries. And they are less depressed, as I said earlier. Why? Their overemphasis in their teaching is do your work and leave the result to God. That pursuit of happiness is not there. They know that their result would be there what they are. Now here, do not imagine that I am calling upon you to be fatalist. No. Just keep on doing the work. That's it, and don't bother. Just as I said, following happiness is like following a mirage. It may never be there. You know, what's a human nature? Human nature is feeling sad at times, disappointed when there's disappointment, envious, lonely at times, social at the other times. And that is maladaptive. To run after happiness in spite of all this disappointment, sadness, is being maladaptive. It's not human. So most important is be human. Be authentic human. On a societal level, the education programs that destigmatize feeling of sadness and happiness challenges people's prejudice towards the mental disorders. We have so become used to follow people. It has become such a social norm that we try to put our best foot forward and we don't want to show how vulnerable they are. You know, imagine, you see in the media that a celebrity has suffered a miscarriage, or a politician takes leave to deal with the stress of a job. It resonates with us. Why? Because the people on the pedestal have the same problems that we have. When the premier of a province here says, well, he has to tend to the family, then we know that he is the same human being the way we are. And that stuff is the gritty of life. And sharing of that stuff brings these people down and it connects us. So most important is to stay connected. When you stay connected, when you're authentic, happiness would possibly be there. It may not be there. But hunting for happiness takes away your precious capabilities, your precious time, your energy, and when you don't get happiness, it makes you disappointed, frustrated, and depressive. That has got to be avoided at all cost. Happiness is a shimra. Happiness should come out of our action, not as the result of pursuit. Happiness would automatically emerge once you are honest and authentic to yourself. Never forget. Think. You want to go and see a movie. If the movie is just comedy, you laugh all the time. But after some time, unless it's a pure comedy, not the burlesque the Hindi movies are, you will forget it. A tragedy haunts you because the tragedy results in catharsis. Catharsis is the purgation of, or rather the sublimation of your emotions. So man's life is not meant to be a sheer comedy or a sheer tragedy. The only thing is, the elements of happiness flash like lightning on the dark night, and they don't last forever. They come and go, and no pursuit of following those flashes of lightning can help you catch that lightning. And happiness is not something which you can force. Happiness, whenever it comes of its own volition and comes when you least expect it. When you connect with yourself, when you're authentic, when you connect with the people outside, when you connect with the nature outside, you can find happiness. I and my wife go to the beach, find the waves coming slowly, softly. We go in the lawn, see a butterfly twirling in the flowers. We find happiness. You will get happiness when you connect with a child in you, when you connect with yourself, authentic self, and not while you are searching for it. Do not search it. It will end in unhappiness. Don't forget this paradox. Search for happiness, you'll be unhappy. Thank you.